Мгм. Что, кто-то уже зашел на стрим? 3 человека показывает. Так, сюда. Ну-ка, надо проверить. Может быть, что-то не подключились. Так. Это нет сообщений. Ну, сейчас постреляю.
Hartman watched as Wake's features slackened. The man was bullheaded, no doubt. Even lying on the bed, he'd almost broken Hartman's nose the second time. But with a little time, he could break Wake down, give him proper direction. Wake was easily the most promising subject he'd had. Well, since Tom, really. "Sleep well, Alan," Hartman whispered with a smile. "Let me take care of you." He sniffed hard to clear his throbbing nose, swallowed blood, and barely tasted it.
Let's get out of here. Can you open this gate?
Maybe.
Barry!
Well, I slammed it shut when the nasty showed up, and the key fits kind of loose in the lock, so,
Barry!
I'll find it, don't worry about it!
Ну, как и ожидалось. Васяя спешно не пришел.
Hurry up, Barry!
I'm on it!
Ах, мы ж обошли тогда.
Gotta be here! Just hang on!
Блин. Ладно, еще разочек. Стоит у меня же вроде бы. Давай, не вроде световая была. Что птички летают.
Hurry up, Barry!
I'm on it! I'm on it!
Ты откуда здесь делаешься?
Hang on, Al! Oh, hey, I found a quarter!
В смысле? Даже вывод не сработал. Ладно. Давай.
Hurry up, Barry!
I'm on it! I'm on it! It's gotta be here! Just hang on, Al! Oh, hey, found a quarter!
Я не понимаю. Только тут выходит еще не сделали так. Это пипец.
Hurry up, Barry!
I'm on it!
Тикай. Иди свертом.
Al, we gotta go! Get in the car!
Al, please tell me we're headed for the nearest "You're now leaving Bright Falls. Come back soon" sign.
We're going to the Anderson farm.
I knew you were gonna say something like that. You know what? You owe me big time for this. When this is through, if we make it, I don't care what anybody says, I'm done with darkness. You're gonna buy me a tanning bed as a gift, and I'm gonna live in it.
I'm crazy, but that's fine, Barry.
Oh, you got that right, Al. You're barking mad. You are by far the
But
craziest.
maybe that's inevitable when you deal with crazy stuff like this. It helps. This is happening, Barry. Alice, they never had Alice. She's trapped in the darkness at the bottom of the lake, but she's not dead.
Al, how can you know that?
I know, Barry. I can...
Al,
No, listen. I can bring her back. I can find her. There's something special about this place. The lake, it does something to the works of art created here. It makes them come true. But there's a catch. The dark presence, whatever that thing is, twists it to its own ends. That's why all of this is happening. It's using my manuscript to take over everything.
Al, I believe you.
It happened to Thomas Zane before, it happened to the Andersons.
I believe you. Crazy or not, you're not delusional. Weird shit's going down. That's a fact. I'm on board, man. I'm with you.
The Andersons knew about it, but they were too far gone to tell me with all the drugs they were on. But they wrote it down. There's a message somewhere at their farm, Barry. We just need to find it.
Look out!
I had lost my gun in the crash. Barry was nowhere to be seen.
Barry! Barry!
Oh, man, you're okay! Jesus, good to hear your voice!
Here we have, once again, a twist in the gameplay. We actually take away the light, the main tool of the player. The point of this scene is to demonstrate how utterly helpless Wake is without his light against the forces of darkness. There really isn't any other option here but to run or die.
Al! There's something moving down here!
Barry, it's a taken! Use a flare, Barry!
Oh! Yeah!
Barry, are you alright?
I'm good, Al! I'm great! Guess you never mess with anyone from New York.
This area is the Anderson farm. In the game we have these two goofy guys called the Anderson brothers. They used to live here, but with time they have gone a bit funny in the head, and now they spend most of their time at Hartman's clinic, although they do wander off all the time.
Yeah, they were in a band called the Old Gods of Asgard, and they actually pretended to be Nordic gods. And that whole rock and roll lifestyle thing was just a little bit too much for them. And it probably didn't help that they actually made their moonshine with water from Cauldron Lake. These guys are nuts.
Yeah, but this is a really cool location. It used to be an ordinary farm, but as these guys led their rock and roll lifestyle, they made it into their own image, and they built this stage in the middle of the cornfield and even decorated the farmhouse with Viking imagery. They had some serious parties here. This whole Viking thing was like a lifestyle for them, and in the end they started to believe in their own characters. Unfortunately, it went a bit too far, and they woke up the Dark Presence with their music.
Yeah, this all took place not long after Zane had managed to put the Dark Prince down in the first place, and the Dark Prince really messed with their heads. That's another reason why they're so crazy. And eventually they managed to put it back down, but unfortunately they didn't really do a very good job of it. And I guess that's good, because if they had, then we wouldn't be having a story here at all.
That's true. These guys really aren't that good with details. They sort of let the Dark Presence hanging in limbo, kind of like waiting for somebody to come along and put it back into business.
Cue Alan Wake.
Oh yeah.
Now he's Rambo. This would turn into a disaster if I didn't catch up with Barry. Shadows crawled over the gate. I needed a light to destroy them to get through. Agent Nightingale stared at the passed-out rider. The man was sleeping off one hell of a night. Nightingale felt a stab of envy at Wake's oblivion, but he had a job to do. He put the gun to Wake's head and almost became a murderer. His hand shook and his throat felt tight and dry. Biting his teeth, he tried again to pull the trigger. He lost the nerve. Wake stirred. Nightingale would have to settle for an arrest. I could sense the movement.
And here the player gets the light back to basics. A good boost, as you know, blinds the enemies and slows them down, and that's the only way to survive through this situation. You still need a weapon to be able to defeat them, so the only option is to continue running.
I could sense the movement in the woods ahead.
And here the player gets the light back to basics. A good boost, as you know, blinds the enemies and slows them down, and that's the only way to survive through this situation. You still need a weapon to be able to defeat them, so the only option is to continue running.
Omega-3 fatty acids are good for your heart.
A car was driving away from the farm, headed in the same general direction as I was. For all I knew, it was Barry, caught in the consequences of leaping before looking. The car was heading for the cabin up ahead. It wasn't far. If it was Barry, I would see the damage soon.
I'm trying to deliver each page to the right time and place. I'm trying to show you how the story goes.
I had seen glimpses of light before. I had seen it in my dream. It was a strange... The dark presence followed the choreography laid out to it in the manuscript, growing stronger and stronger, moving like a storm from one scene of destruction to the next. But it was still bound to follow the story and chained to the dark place it came from. When the story reached the end it longed for, it would finally be free. Spaceman or a diver in a bulky suit. He was the one who'd been placing the pages on my path.
Tomar. Se pagas.
Someone had left a gun behind. Now I had a fighting chance of reaching the farm. The storm raged on as the Anderson brothers walked unsteadily away from the clinic with the other patients in tow, knowing that this time they wouldn't return. The darkness around them seethed with horrors, but Tor and Odin were unafraid. Their eyes glinted with guile. They knew every secret path, and there was blood on their hands. They had fought the Shades before. I could see the car, but there was no sight of the driver.
The journey from the crashed car, the second one we have in the game, up to this hunting cabin has been fun to develop. It was really cool to see different things, try different things that work out with Wake being very vulnerable. Originally, we tried giving Wake just less ammunition, less batteries. Then we took the revolver away for quite a long time. And in this final version, you actually start the whole journey without any kind of light source either.
I know you. You were in jail the other day.
I went to the farm again for the moonshine, you know? It makes you see. They're not gonna miss it. They're in the loony bin. But my buddy, Danny, I lost him. Something's gone wrong with him. It's not him. Like a real bad follow-up to a real good movie where the best friend's suddenly the bad guy who wrote this crap anyway.
His videos.
I've run through every possible course in my head. If I continue like the Dark Presence wants me to, the story I'm writing won't save Alice. It's a horror story, and it's going to kill her, and me, and everybody in this town. No one will survive. Darkness will consume everything. This is what it's wanted all along. It will be free, unstoppable. It used Alice to get to me, dangled her in front of me to keep me going. It was never going to release her. I'm going to change this. I'll escape. I've written myself. I'm now the protagonist. This feels like a terrible risk, but it's the only way to save Alice. Let me guess. Danny, huh? The farm was still a good distance away. I'd need a car to get there fast. Barry wasn't up here, he was probably in trouble down.
The farmhouse area has been one of the most liked areas during early gameplay testing. I think the big element to this is that we have very many different gameplay types during this journey. We just had a very tightly planned, very tightly designed survival journey up to this hunting cabin, and then again now we give the player a car, we give a direction, and we give the player the chance to actually dictate his own pace for a while.
Well, as I'm sure everyone's noticed, that storm we all felt coming is finally here. The boys at the Weather Service reckon it'll last until morning at the very least. Pertaining to that, let me read that missing persons alert again. The Sheriff's Department's still looking for a Caucasian woman, 30 years old, slim and blonde with blue eyes, maybe lost in the woods, and it's possible she's been injured in a car accident. If you see her, please make sure you get her indoors and call the sheriff. It's bad weather to be caught out in, so if you see someone in the area who maybe looks a little confused, give him a hand. This is Pat Main on KBF FM, hoping you're all safe and warm.
I'd known the brothers used to be some kind of rock stars, but it hadn't really sunk in until I saw the stage.
Al! Run! Incoming! There's too many of them! God damn!
I'm so glad you decided to go it alone, Mr. Bronson.
Shut up and shoot! Al! We have to fight them off! I can set off more of the fireworks from here and help you out! Hey, Al! Did you notice there's a lot of ammo and stuff around? This place is stocked! Al, hold on! I'll try to get the stage lights on!
Falls, rock and roll capital of America.
Children of the Elder God, what a great song to kick ass to. I think the whole stage fight sequence is going to be one of the most memorable moments for a lot of people, simply because it's just such a ridiculous action-packed sequence. The music is actually by the band Poets of the Fall, who have a long history of collaboration with Remedy. We kind of wanted this to sound like 70s heavy rock, and I think they did a fantastic job of that, and from what I hear, they had a good time doing that too. They also did the other song that you hear a little bit later at the farmhouse, The Poet and the Muse, and that's of course a more of a ballad, but you know, still a very nice song. The lyrics of both songs are actually based on poems by our lead writer Sam Lake.
See, bestseller? No reason to worry. Your cutout's good as new, right where I left it. I'll come back for it once we have the place secured.
Yeah, that's been my biggest worry all this time. We need to get this thing moved out of the way.
This is as far as I got before they ambushed me. Here has something to say. What's that, Al?
I'm Alan Wake. I'm always right about everything. And if I don't get my way, I'll solve all day long. I'm always intense and moody. It makes me very attractive and mysterious. Right now, I'm just standing here because I need my best friend Barry to carry me. But that's okay. I can just take him for granted.
I think I see what you did there.
It was pretty good.
You want me to do my imitation of Barry Wheeler?
Yeah.
No? Thought so.
Wow! You look at that thing, Al! They really went all out with this Viking crap, didn't they?
Sleep. We all spend
Oh, Night Spring! Man! Hey,
Hey,
remember when I got you that gig? Your first real writing job. What got you started? Was this one of your episodes?
Tonight's episode. The Dream of Dreams.
That's by someone else.
We join Mr. Jones as he explores the endless dreamscape, only to be brought to a sudden stop by a decidedly mundane situation.
It's 1976. Madness reigns at the Anderson farm. Contrary to all logic, the headiest ingredient of their moonshine is unfiltered water from Cauldron Lake. The Andersons feel like gods. Odin can't stop laughing. He contemplates cutting his eye out. Tor runs across the field, naked, shrieking, hammer in his hand, trying to catch lightning. Their songs have power. Something ancient is stirring in the depths, coming back. The Viking boat looked imposing, almost like a battering ram.
Good going, Al!
Może być mięsa.
we can make it through here, Al! Those geezers had quite a production going on. Ooh, you know what, Al? If we make it through this alive, I'm gonna start representing them. Yep, sell this stuff online, maybe get a reality show going, release a new single.
Good luck with that, pal.
Hey, you find us a way out of here, okay? I'm gonna take a closer look at this stuff.
Be careful, Al!
As you regular listeners know, I tend to work through the night, but I'm not the only one. Deputies Mulligan and Thornton are taking a couple of moments off their busy schedule to join me here in the studio. Boys, how busy are you now? Deerfest is almost here, isn't it? I bet that keeps you in business.
Pretty busy, yeah. Actually, Pat, we've been real busy with a lot of stuff, which concerns an ongoing investigation. Can't talk about it.
could see the building that had to be the Andersons' home on the other side of the field. That wasn't far now. I wasn't worried about trusting the ramblings of two burned-out geriatric wrecks. They had the goods.
Al? Is that you out there, buddy?
Yeah, it's me. Hang on.
Hey, let's go, man. I think we're gonna have to work together to open this gate, Al. It's pretty heavy. Hey, I think that's the farm on the other side of the field. We're almost there. This farm is a crazy place for crazy people.
We should feel right at home then.
Скорее буду с ним гоняться. Что тут старое золото? Фиг знает.
The lights are out. I guess we better check the fuse box.
The power downstairs was out, but I was sure I could fix that at the fuse box.
You know, this place looks kind of lived in. I thought the Andersons were in the booby hatch.
Again, Alice's screams rang in the stillness of the night. I saw myself run toward the cabin, flashlight in my hand. I followed my past self. I was an out-of-body observer, a time traveler in a crazy drunken dream. This was the beginning. The night Allison disappeared. The mystery of what had happened during the missing week was about to reveal itself.
Сейчас я кое-что проверю. Что-то завис. Накрылся немного. Так, минутку. Понятно.
Come on, Al, let's get the lights on, huh? Can you hear that, Al? Music?
Of course. We need to find where it's coming from. That's the message the Andersons talked about. That's the whole reason we're here.
Lady of the Light? Oh, that's gotta be, what's-her-face, the crazy lamp lady from the town.
Cynthia Weaver.
Right. Must be.
Okay. We need to find Cynthia Weaver. We'll stay here for the night and head back to town as soon as it gets light.
Hey, Al. Lots of hours before dawn. Might as well get some rest. And by rest, I mean drunk.
Come on, Barry, this is... Yeah, what the hell?
Seriously, because I know we don't get along, but we're gonna find her, right? Even though you're a crazy bastard, I'm gonna stick by you, no matter what, ever, Al. Sure, like a brother.
I'm a writer, goddammit.
Correct.
If I just wanted to, I could write 10 books a year. And they'd be the best books that year.
No, you couldn't.
That's right, I couldn't. But I could, because I'm a writer.
What? What do they put in this stuff? I feel like my brain is coming out of my nose. I'm gonna get the recipe off those coots and be a booze millionaire.
I just miss her, Barry. I just want her here with me.
I know, Al. I know. It's gonna be okay. We're gonna make it okay.
Надеюсь, когда не до головы-то. Походу сейчас и будут.
Alice, I'm coming. It's all right. I'm coming. It was a crazy drunken dream, and yet it was more than that. It was the truth, a suppressed memory unearthed by the Andersons' moonshine. I was there, an out-of-body observer. This was the night Alice and I had arrived at Bright Falls, the night Alice had disappeared. I had a chance to find out what had happened.
Alice?
I remembered being surprised to see the cabin dark. Alice would have never turned the lights off. I remembered thinking I caught a glimpse of her form underwater, sinking into the darkness. Diving after her was the last vague memory I had of that night. After that, the next thing I could remember was waking up behind the wheel of the crashed car and finding the first pages of the manuscript. Beyond this lost memory, there was nothing. I had to follow the footsteps of my past self to find out what had happened that night. I couldn't find her in all that blackness. I must have thought she drowned.
Alice!
Jagger had Alice, and so she had me.
Alice!
I'd been easy prey.
Look at the cabin. Is there someone in the window?
Alice?
Maybe she didn't drown after all. Maybe she's inside.
Alice!
Yes.
The dark presence had touched me. She had dug her nails into my brain and used me, made me her puppet.
She must be here somewhere. Maybe upstairs in the study.
Alice!
Yes, that's where she is. You can apologize.
Alice!
You'll laugh at the whole thing together and put it behind you.
Alice?
She's not here. You were foolish to think so. No, she's dead. She drowned.
No, no, no!
It's your fault your wife is dead. You are guilty. All she wanted was to help you right. You killed her.
Ah!
Oh, hush. There's still hope. Cauldron Lake is a special place. Here, you have the power to change things. She wanted you to write. I will tell you what to do. You can write her back. The story will come true, and all will be well again.
She had Alice, and the manuscript was the ransom for her. Yes. All right. I'll fix it. I'll bring her back. No. I wrote it. I remembered it all now. In the dark, I'd written for days, a week, almost a complete manuscript of a novel entitled Departure. Jagger had been my editor, whispering in my ear, making sure that the unfolding story would make her more and more powerful. I thought I was saving Alice. Even with the cobweb she put in my head, some part of me had been aware enough to write my escape into the story, to bring a light into the cabin to release me before I could finish, to interrupt the horror story before the ending, where darkness consumed everything and everyone. Zane was weak and far away, but I had written him into the story, and his light had been enough to set me free.
It isn't here now. I'm here because it was written. I brought the light to set you free. You must hurry. It will know I'm here. It will be back soon. It stole the skin of my Barbara a long time ago. She looks so old.
I'd woken up, confused and groggy, my mind consumed by darkness and fear. All I could do was to escape. The week spent in the cabin had taken its toll. I was barely conscious and fading fast. It had to have cost Zane terribly, thrown him even deeper into whatever dark place he now haunted. But he had managed to weaken the dark presence, kept me safe that night.
I wrote it. It's my fault.
That's right, James Joyce. It's your fault, and you're gonna pay for it.
There's an old town road with mystery of Tom the poet and his muse, and a magic lake which gave a life to the words the poet used. Now the muse she was his happiness, and he rhymed about her grace, and told the stories of treasures deep beneath the blackened waves. Till in the stillness of wonder and still.
Previously on Alan Wake. Under the influence of the dark presence, I wrote a horror story that is coming true. Jagger had been my editor, making sure that the unfolding story would make her more and more powerful. Some part of me had been aware enough to write my escape into the story.
Together we can create something absolutely wonderful.
The lake, it does something to the works of art created here. It makes them come true. My mom gave me this old light switch.
The clicker.
Alice is being kept in a dark prison. I need to find Cynthia Weaver to fix this.
It's your fault, and you're gonna pay for it.
Well, we're expecting a record crowd from the neighboring counties. Naturally, we hope to break the record set by last year's Moose Fest in our neighboring town, Watery. Ladies and gentlemen, some people have asked me, what's the big deal about Deer Fest? And I think that this sums it up. It's about friendship and community. We've got a great party coming up, but let's try to hold it in until tomorrow and get through the night in one piece, all right?
I have it. Someone will come for it when the time is right. Thomas said so. He wrote it.
The key is insurance. It's my job to keep it safe. Safe in the light. Always in the light. Hello.
All the manuscript pages were gone. The FBI agent had taken them.
I think my tongue just took a crap in my mouth. Ugh. Oh, wait, we're in jail now? Ow. Ow, this is not good.
That about sums it up.
Oh, I am never drinking again.
I need to talk to Weaver. She's the one in the song. The Lady of the Light.
What, the crazy lady? Ugh, whatever you say, Al, but we're stuck here. They're not gonna...
I had some reading to do first, Sheriff, and let me tell you, it was an interesting read. Well, I've got you now, Raymond Chandler. It's all here. All the evidence, including conspiracy to murder a federal agent. There's no way you're walking out of here. You hear me in there, Bret Easton Ellis? Huh?
Agent Nightingale, I want to talk to your superior.
Well, we all want things, Sheriff. I wanted my... Look, that's not possible right now.
Agent Nightingale, I insist.
Wake, what's wrong?
Lady, are you stupid? It's a trick. It's an obvious trick.
Okay, I've had enough of this crap. Wake, I'm gonna trust you with this.
You're joking.
Agent Nightingale, your opinion would matter more if you were sober and if I actually believed you were here on official business.
Whoa! Get back in the cell, Stephen King. The only way you're leaving this place is over my dead... Wait a minute. I know...
Oh my God!
Light. We need light. It's the only way to fight this thing.
In my...
Nightingale tried to make sense of the manuscript. It was disjointed and strange. He didn't understand half of it. But it all rang true. Impossibly true. He took out his hip flask when he reached the page that described how he reached the page that made him take out his hip flask. It wasn't the booze that made his mind reel.
I've got your things there. Follow me.
Oh man, we're sitting ducks with the lights out.
Nightingale felt the situation veering out of his control, but the gun at least felt steady in his hands. He was ready to fire, resolved that he would let this happen over his dead body. And yet he hesitated. He had seen this moment before, read it in the page. He was transfixed by the déjà vu and the horror that he was a character in a story someone had written. Then the monstrous presence burst in behind him and dragged him into the night.
Stay cool. I can get the emergency power on.
We like to keep things a little vague because once you start explaining things in great detail, you kind of lose a lot of the magic. That said, I think it's very clear to everybody by now that Bright Falls is a very weird place, and it's not just about Cauldron Lake and what dwells within. Sarah Breaker is the sheriff here, and given the nature of Bright Falls, she has a fairly difficult job. Once you're the sheriff here, you're not just writing parking tickets, you're actually responsible for the entire community. And that's why her view of this whole thing is a little different than Wake's, because you could say that Wake's goal is a little bit selfish because it's all about his wife and his marriage, and Sarah is a little bit more community-minded because she's really fighting to save Bright Falls from this threat.
I can get you there pretty quickly in the rescue chopper. Come on, let's get back to your friend. Wheeler, I need you to stay here.
What? No.
We're going to fetch our ride, but I have friends who need to be warned about this, and I can't be in 2 places at once. I need your help.
Well, okay.
Here's a list of people and phone numbers. I need you to call them and tell them you have a message from me. Night Springs, okay? They'll know what to do.
Night Springs? Like the TV show? Gotcha. Oh, hey, that radio guy is on the list. May. Who's Frank Breaker? He related to you?
My dad.
Hey, is this like a secret society?
Can you do this? You'll be safe here. The backup power's on. These guys need to be alerted, just in case we don't come back.
You'll come back for me though, right?
As soon as we get the chopper ready. Thanks, Wheeler. I owe you one. Okay, let's go, Wake. Through the back.
My hangover wants a pizza. You think there's any way I could order one, Al?
Oh, hell. Whatever took Nightingale must have broken the gate controls. We can't reach the gate's control box from here. We need to get to the other side over the rooftop.
I'll go. I'll open the gate for you once I'm across. You stay here in the light and cover me, Sheriff, okay?
Are you sure? Okay then, but hurry.
I needed to reach the rooftop to get to the other side of the broken gate.
The town of Bright Falls is a sleepy, idyllic small town, the type that's familiar from much of popular culture, where little happens and time almost seems to stand still. The heaviest influences for this location were the town of Snoqualmie, where they shot Twin Peaks, and also the town of Roslyn, the location for Northern Exposure. If you've seen these shows or visited similar locations, you might recognize the dreamlike, almost peaceful ambience that they often seem to have. It's as if time is reluctant to move on, sort of clinging back to the glory days when the town was born, where industries like mining and logging were booming. It is genuine Americana, and I think we have captured it quite well.
Hey, Sheriff! Your password. Night Springs? What's that all about?
It's a stupid joke we have. That Bright Falls is the original inspiration for the TV show. This town can get weird at times. Never this weird, though. You need to bypass the damaged control box.
What am I, an electrician? Hold on!
Damn, that's smart.
Good job, Wade. Okay, stick close. Our first stop is the town hall. The keys to the chopper are there. Look out! Over there! Look out! Over here, Wake! The chopper's in the other direction!
The air smelled of fish. This was Bright Falls industrial area. There was probably a cannery nearby.
Fishing can be a hobby.
I'm gonna want explanations, you know. For example, what the hell happened to Rose? She's seriously messed up now.
The same thing I think happened to me after I arrived.
During this week, you can't remember?
Oh, I remember now. Barry was in his element, making calls, making things happen, but even if he didn't entirely know what those things were, he wouldn't let the hot sheriff chick down. Even if every noise he heard from outside, and he heard plenty, made him jump. He had only paused to text Al a message, told him to hurry up. Suddenly, Barry froze in mid-dial. A window broke somewhere in the building, and then the lights went out.
Bright Falls was a very, very challenging location to really develop, to get all the paths and all the branches of the journey to feel natural. The town was designed and built quite a bit earlier than we actually settled upon the final storyline twists and the specifics, what actually happened there. This meant we had a lot of problem solving to do when we actually got to decide where Alan Wake and Sarah go to. For example, this branch, this harborside building that you're now just been going past, was something we incorporated very late in the process when we noticed that having the whole harbor street available for combat just didn't work that well as we expected for combat, pacing and technology.
Over here! There's light! I have a key. Watch my back, Wade.
It's an ambush.
Let's hope we don't run into anything we can't handle. Wake, over here! There's light! Watch my back, Wade.
It's an ambush.
Let's go, Wake.
Это мы тут пользуюсь, чем отбавим.
Okay, someone's messed with the fuse box here, but you should be able to jury rig it while I find the keys.
I already got electrocuted once today. How about I look for the keys and you get burned for a change? The darkness that wore Barbara Jagger's face was furious. The story in the manuscript had been making it stronger all the time, but now the light had set the writer free and hurt it, weakened it. It was only a matter of days before the dark presence would be strong again. But meanwhile, it would be difficult to recapture the writer. The message was from Barry. He was getting worried at the station. He wanted us to hurry.
The keys aren't upstairs, Wake.
I'm just gonna take a quick look. Okay, Sheriff, I got the keys.
Barry?
Why isn't he inside?
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Barry! Look out! Barry, move! Barry!
He made it inside, Wake. He's okay. The storefront's blocked. Come on, Wake. Let's go around. We can meet him in the back. We can make it through the bookstore. Wheeler should be waiting for us in the backyard.
Keep the hell down or I'll call the sheriff.
Oh, hi, Doc. I've got it. Don't worry about it.
Sarah, about time somebody showed up. All this shooting in the air is idiotic. One of these days they'll kill somebody. And over Deerfest.
I know. Go back to bed. He's got a point, Wade. Look, this town can't take this.
Да, и спать не постреляем.
It's me they want. The sooner I get out of here, the sooner you can all get back to life as usual.
I hope you're right. Come on, let me get this door open.
Wait, you got the keys to the bookstore?
Perks of being the sheriff. A girl needs to get around.
Ну, только хотел спросить.
They're really taking advantage of your presence here, Wake. I heard they're selling a lot of your Alex Casey books.
Right now, I'm not a big fan of my own writing. Cynthia Weaver worked hard, following her obsessive rituals, sometimes fighting them, always giving in to them in the end. She haunted the halls of Bright Falls' abandoned power plant. She marked her caches with light-sensitive paint that could only be seen by eyes that had been touched by darkness and saved by light like she'd been. She was preparing defenses and supply lines for the war she knew would come. The war between the forces of light and darkness.
I don't see Barry.
Look, Wake, maybe that's him. That's the way to the chopper.
Even though for a town Bright Falls is quite small, as a gameplay location it is huge. There are many buildings and many of them have interiors or had them at some point when earlier story revisions so required. As many large gameplay locations, it has been through countless of revisions and iterations, and unfortunately not all the cool stuff that there once was survived. If you think about that simply in terms of time lost making something that eventually didn't make it in the game, well, it's simply a lot of wasted hours. But actually, all those changes simply served to make it richer and more varied. It's the same way that real towns actually acquire their appearance. You could say that the process has actually given it a small history of its own.
I'm gonna give Pastor Howard a piece of my mind about this lock. Ugh, I told him to get it fixed.
Here they come.
Labor. Let's take a break. Omega-3 fatty acids are good for your heart.
I'm gonna give Pastor Howard a piece of my mind about this lock. Ugh, I told him to get it fixed.
Here they come.
Let's take a break. Omega-3 fatty acids are good for your heart.
Okay, it's open. Let's go, Wake.
Wow.
We keep them lit all night long on the night before Yearfest.
Why?
Well, it's tradition.
For it to be free, the Dark Presence needed the writer to finish the story. Again and again, the story let it get frustratingly close to the writer without letting it capture him. It was bound by the events depicted in the manuscript, but it could pursue the writer indirectly, put others on the task, and stop those who would help him. It took over everything in its path, made them its puppets, and sent them after Alan Wake.
We're almost there. We'll have to go through the basement to get to the parking lot.
Yeah, there's no way going through the crypt will turn out to be a bad idea.
Did you call 911?
Guess that one saw the light, huh? You didn't like that one? A tough audience. Well, I got plenty more.
What are the Christmas lights for?
Protection, man! Like garlic against vampires?
Vampires.
The helicopter's just across the parking lot and up the hill. Come on!
The Bright Falls General Store is now my favorite place in the entire world. See this headlamp? It's like a superpower. I can just look at one of those things and they die. It's my flaming eye of Mordor.
The fire station on the hill, on the hillside, was actually fairly late arrival to the city, the last building that was built.
Alice had screamed until she had no voice left to scream. Around her, the darkness was alive. It was cold and wet and malevolent and without end. She was a prisoner, trapped in the dark place. The terror would have burned her mind out, but one thing made her hang on. She could sense Alan in the dark. She could hear him. She could see the words he was writing as flickering shadows. He sensed her too. He was trying to work his way to her.
When we settled upon the how the journey ends with the helicopter. When we found a good location for the helicopter, it basically meant that we need to find an iconic building to go with it. The hillside was the best spot for the helipad, and when that was decided, everything kind of like locked into place. The fire station looked great, and the fire station yard just kind of like worked perfectly for the fight layout.
The helicopter's just up ahead. I'll need a while to prep for takeoff.
Don't take too long. I want to get out of here.
Много взрывных бочек. Много всего. Сейчас будет мясо.
chance on a local crazy lady, Al. I hope you're right about her, or we can kiss this town goodbye.
Like this.
Right, the city's a war zone. King Kong, mutant alligators, and Alex Casey shoots the place up every weekend. Look, I never even carried a gun until a couple of days ago.
Well, my dad used to be a cop there. Tells some pretty wild stories.
Stuff like this?
No, just normal bad stuff. Kinda like your books, Wake. I used to tease Dad that he was just like Alex Casey.
You've read me.
Oh, sure. You're a pretty good writer. A little heavy on the metaphors, maybe.
Nobody's ever said that before.
We're coming up on the power plant. See the lit building over there? And that's the dam further up the river. I can't land here. I'll take her down the road across the river.
Just get me there, Sheriff.
This warehouse is filled with gas bottles. They can be used to dispose enemies without using the flashlight at all. Just shoot the bottles so that they explode. But be careful that you don't get hurt by yourself. The same thing applies